Welcome friends, welcome back to our kitchen for the Stuff in Our Cupboard series, Pandemic Edition. Today I'm going to make a riff on a brajol. I really love brajol, and I found two freezer burnt flank steaks deep in our freezer, and I wanted to use them up. So I used one a little while ago in a pasta sauce, and today I've decided I am going to try to make a brajol with what I have. And it's going to be sort of a make-do situation, but I'm sure it's going to be fine. So in here I put some breadcrumbs, and that's breadcrumbs left over from our homemade bread, the no-knead bread. Just added some Parmesan, which I normally put in. I've got pecorino. I don't normally put pecorino in, but I didn't have enough parm, so I'm going to mix those two and see what happens. Normally I would use fresh basil. Don't have any, so dry basil it is. And a little bit of black pepper. So these are the ingredients I'm working with for the stuffing, and I'm just going to whiz these together. Okay, looks good. So how are you guys doing? It is April 2020. We're still going through these social distancing measures here in Canada. The grocery stores are sort of coming back, but I got to tell you, shopping is a bit of a pain in the ass right now. Long lines because they're only letting so many people into the store, which is a good thing. But you really have to plan and think about what you're buying and make sure that you're not making a wasted trip, because you may end up in that line and not find what you're looking for, which is really kind of strange because, you know, we've just came out of a period where you could buy anything you wanted, anytime you wanted. But, you know, we'll get through it. And if you're having trouble getting through it, please call somebody. If you need someone to give you a hand to buy stuff, just pick up the phone and ask somebody for help. You know, if you're going through difficult times, just pick up the phone and call somebody. There's always someone out there who is going to be able to help you. Okay, so I'm just going to slice off the worst of the freezer burnt, the really dried bits. I don't want them in the brajol. And there's just a little bit on the surface. And just take your time with the butterflying. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, if you can sort of cut it in half, you've done a good job. Okay. Not too great with my butterflying. I don't do it that often. Don't worry if it's not perfect. It will be fine. So I'm going to get rid of this freezer burnt steak, wash my hands, and then we'll move on. Now, I would normally put mozzarella in here. In the spirit of making do, I had some ricotta, so I'm going to put that in. I just wanted a melty cheese, something that would, you know, kind of bring all of the other things together as almost as a binder. So I don't need much, just a couple of spoonfuls, and I'm going to rub that in. And then we put the filling on. And I've probably made way too much filling for this size steak. This recipe really is for a larger piece of meat. Now I'm going to put the extra breadcrumbs into the sauce, so there's no cross-contamination here. Everything's going to get cooked at the same time. Don't worry. Okay, now roll this up. And a little bit of butcher twine. 1, 2, 3. Pull it tight. 1, 2, 3. Never going to release. Now this flank steak was pretty small, so I'm just going to use this small brazier. You could do it in any Dutch oven, any pot that is oven safe that has a lid, because we're going to braise this once it's all fried up. So this is hot. We are just going to brown off the outside of the flank steak just to get a little bit of color on it. And you'll notice I've cut off the ends of the butcher twine. You don't want extra butcher twine hanging out. And you just want to turn it to sear all the sides. Build up some nice color in the bottom of the pan. And I think that's good, so I'm going to pull that out and set it aside. And in I'm going to put an onion and half a red pepper. Now, I wouldn't normally put in a red pepper. Usually I'd put in mushrooms. I don't have mushrooms. What I've got is half of a red pepper. And I wanted to add something just a little bit more to the onion. So I thought I'd go ahead and put it in and see what happens. I think it'll be fine. Now we just want to soften those onions a little bit. And they're pretty much there. So next I've got some tomato paste. And I'm going to put that in. And let that fry out a little bit with the onions. So just stir that around just to caramelize it a little bit. Now, normally I'd put in red pepper flakes or pepperoncino. I'm out. I don't have any. So I've got our own hot pickled peppers that we pickled last summer using the peppers in our garden. So I'm going to throw one of those in whole, and I'm going to pour in some red wine. And we'll just deglaze the pan. It smells wonderful. So I'm going to put the flank steak back in the middle. I've got a can of tomatoes, and I'm just going to pour those in, just all around it. This is the leftover stuffing. I'm going to put that in as well. And everything that was left on the cutting board. Get that in there too. Okay, throw on a lid. So the oven is preheated to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to put this in and I'm going to let it braise. See you in a bit.
Woo! That smells great.
So a not real brajol. It's a brajol using what we had.
Okay.
So it's a pretty tiny piece of flank steak.
You were expecting more? Clearly, it just slipped right
It
out.
slipped right out. And the thing is, really, it's the sauce that, tomorrow will be fantastic for pasta or just putting over bread. So let's just slice this.
Once again, any carb you've got, feel free to put it on there. Look at that. That's pretty fancy.
Looks pretty good. So let's. Okay, Jules, I'll just cut this up and we'll.
Just do a wee taste.
Yep.
Oh, you
don't even need a plate.
I don't even need a plate. I'm
No.
just gonna dig my fork in. I'm gonna take that one. Perfect.
So, flavor's great. Mm-hmm. I like the cheese and the whole, and the. Go ahead.
Finish your story, and then I've got a question for you.
The meat is a little bit tougher.
It's chewy,
Yeah, than you would expect. It's not tough. You're right. It's chewy.
but not like.
It's not. Yeah, it's not difficult. It's just you notice that you're chewing it a little bit more, but it's incredibly flavorful. There's so much flavor going on in there.
So the cheese doesn't taste like the standard cheese that I'm accustomed to. So tell me more.
So I put in Parmesan and I put in Pecorino.
Oh.
And I would usually put in mozzarella, but we didn't have any, so we had ricotta. So I put in a smearing of ricotta because it melts it and it would
keep it all together.
Pull it all together.
Because otherwise you'd end up with chunks of things.
Yeah. So I made a bunch of substitutions because we had to deal with what we've got.
The reality though is if you substitute well in something that's similar,
It's fine.
it's fine. It just doesn't taste like what you think is supposed to be that recipe. It's a whole new recipe.
It is
Right?
a different
So
recipe, but it's just as good. It's just a little bit different. And through those happy accidents, like Bob Ross said, wonderful things happen. Right? Happy little accidents.
Happy little accidents.
And
I want a little cloud. Can we have a little cloud come through
you
now?
have a little cloud. And then you've got this great sauce. And so you can serve this sauce over whatever you're eating with it. You could have rice, you could have potatoes, you could have pasta. And you have that sauce tomorrow on rice, potatoes, or pasta. And it's absolutely incredible.
There you go. So 2 meals.
So don't be afraid to make substitutions. If you have a dish that you really want to make and you don't have some of the stuff, it'll work.
Think about what its role is in the recipe and find a substitute that works.
Yeah.
You got this.
Thanks for stopping by. Stay safe, stay healthy. See you again soon.